When you think of Christmas, you probably think of carols, presents, and good cheer. But what if I told you that for many of our ancestors, the darkest nights of winter were for telling scary ghost stories? There's even a line in a famous Christmas song that hints at this forgotten tradition. There'll be scary ghost stories and tales of the glories of Christmases long, long ago. And long before Charles Dickens wrote A Christmas Carol, gathering by the fire to share spooky tales was a surprisingly common winter pastime. And this is the story of how the original Christmas spirit was a ghost. And for most of us, the Christmas ghost story begins with one man, Charles Dickens. His 1843 novella, A Christmas Carol, is so iconic it feels like a one-of-a-kind invention. But Dickens wasn't creating a tradition, he was masterfully popularizing an old one. The Victorians were obsessed with ghost stories. As humorist Jerome K. Jerome wrote in 1891, whenever 5 or 6 English-speaking people meet around the fire on Christmas Eve, they start telling each other ghost stories. And the Industrial Revolution had plunged Britain into an era of social upheaval, and a fascination with death and spiritualism took hold. The long, dark nights of a pre-electrified winter created the perfect, cozy, creepy atmosphere for sharing tales of the supernatural. And periodicals cast in, publishing chilling tales in their special Christmas issues. And Dickens, a brilliant social critic, seized this popular format. And A Christmas Carol, subtitled A Ghost Story at Christmas, wasn't written for cheap scares. His ghosts were agents of moral redemption, forcing Scrooge to confront the real-world horrors of poverty and ignorance. And he perfected the holiday ghost story, weaving terror with a message of hope. But where did the Victorians get the idea? For that, we have to go much, much further back. Long before the first Christmas carol was ever sung, ancient pagan cultures across Europe saw midwinter as a time of deep anxiety. They believed the winter solstice was a liminal time when the boundary between the world of the living and the world of the dead grew thin, allowing spirits to wander the earth. And this belief gave rise to terrifying legends, chief among them being the myth of the Wild Hunt. In Germanic, Norse, and Celtic cultures, stories were told of a spectral hunting party thundering across the sky, often led by a fearsome figure like the Norse god Odin, and to witness it was an omen of war or plague. And as Christianity spread, it didn't erase these pagan traditions that absorbed them. And the ancient fear of the dark and the stories told to survive it were woven into the fabric of the new winter holiday, Christmas. The tradition of winter ghost stories never completely vanished. We even see echoes of it in Shakespeare's The Winter's Tale, where a character declares, "A sad tale is best for winter, I have one of sprites and goblins." But it was the Victorian era that truly formalized the Christmas ghost story, turning it from a folk custom into a literary genre. Beyond Dickens, one of the undisputed masters of the form was M.R. James. A medieval scholar at Cambridge, James had a very particular Christmas tradition. Each year on Christmas Eve, he would invite friends and students to his rooms and by candlelight read a new ghost story he had written for the occasion. And his tales like "Oh Whistle" and "I'll Come to You, My Lad" are masterpieces of quiet, creeping dread. And the stories provide a unique kind of comfort, the thrill of fear enjoyed from the safety of a warm, firelit room. So what happened to this tradition? As the 20th century dawned, it began to fade. Electric light pushed back the darkness that was so essential to the atmosphere. And 2 world wars changed the world's relationship with death, making recreational horror seem less appealing. And Christmas itself became increasingly commercialized and child-centric. The ghosts were slowly exorcised. But they never truly went away. In Britain, the tradition was kept alive most nobly by the BBC, which began a series aptly titled A Ghost Story for Christmas. Starting in the 1970s with adaptations of M.R. James's work, the series has been revived multiple times for modern audiences, with filmmakers like Mark Gatiss continuing the tradition. Today, we're seeing a quiet resurgence as popular podcasts, audiobooks, and new anthologies are finding a fresh audience for these chilling winter tales. The history of the Christmas ghost story is a perfect reflection of the holiday itself. A blend of light and dark, pagan and Christian, joyful celebration and solemn reflection. And it reminds us that long before it was mainly a season of shopping and Santa Claus, the end of the year was a time to contemplate mystery, mortality, and the spirits that might be waiting out there in the cold. So the next time you're gathered with friends or family on a dark winter's night, maybe you'll think about reviving that very, very old tradition. And if you enjoyed this journey into the darker side of the holidays, please consider subscribing for more explorations into forgotten history. Buried deep beneath the twinkling lights and cheerful carols, the ghosts of winter are still waiting. We just have to be willing to listen for them. Y'all have a good night. Merry Christmas. God bless us all, everyone.